Good morning and welcome to the Sunday celebrations here for the Sinners of Spiritual Living Denver. We are a loving and prospering community here in the heart of Capitol Hill and online. We know that with everything going on, life can feel overwhelming. Here at CSL Denver, we want you to know that we are here for you. Please know that our practitioners are available for prayer work with you. Our names and phone numbers are on the website at www.cslddenver.org. Or if you have a prayer request, please email it to info@cslddenver.org. Reverend Elzia, along with all of our guest speakers, all of our practitioners, our music and service coordinators want you to know how truly grateful we are for your online support. Thank you for watching our Sunday services, attending our online workshops and events, and providing financial support so that we can keep our virtual doors open. We love you all and know we'll be seeing you in person in the right and perfect time. And now, we'll continue to meet online until further notice. If you're interested in upcoming events and information, we send out weekly newsletters. Please go to www.cslddenver.org and sign up for our newsletters. We only send out one per week. Or send an email to info@cslddenver.org and request to be put on our mailing list. This week we are having our usual Zoom fellowship right after service. If you haven't already received an email this morning, please send an email to info@cslddenver.org to request a Zoom invitation. Please join us. We would love to say hi and catch up with you. That's it for the announcements this Sunday. Again, thank you for tuning in, and now back to our service.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this
Good morning. Surely the presence is here. I'm Bill Carlton. I'm a practitioner at CSL Denver Church. I invite you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath and release all negative emotions. And just be present right here in this beautiful world around us. We feel that oneness of God surrounding all of us involved in this service and those who are watching. Allow us to be in gratitude for our power of curiosity in our spiritual practices. I acknowledge and give thanks to all that has brought us here at this moment. I release these words unto the universe, knowing that they return to us tenfold. And so it is. Looking at our beliefs through a bit of curiosity might help each of us to see that oneness of life. Quote, one of the greatest difficulties in the new order of thought is that we are likely to indulge in too much theory and too little practice. That's by Ernest Holmes, Science of Mind, page 51-1. And quote, you can learn how to use your mind to be curious about life rather than always attempting to control it. And you can learn how to stop arguing with life. One of the greatest joys of awakening is to realize that you don't need to control everything. And curiosity is the key to that connection. This is by Mary O'Malley. What's in the way is the way. Page 95.3. And now we have more music by Susan Clark. Thank you.
Hello, CSL Denver. Susan Clark here with you to provide some special music for your service. I picked out a song by Annie Sims, and this is called Treat and Move Your Feet. I want to take a moment to thank you guys for having me as your guest musician this past month. I really enjoyed putting together these little videos for you, and I hope to see you in person sometime down the road. We got quite a bit of snow here last night, so I know what I'm going to be doing after this video. I'm going to be moving my feet along with my snow shovel so I can get out of my driveway onto the main road. But for now, I'm enjoying a snow day here at home. All right, treat and move your feet. If I want to have more love in my life, it's time to open my heart up, let it shine. Whatever it is I truly desire, as long as I can be inspired, treat and I move my feet. If I want to have more joy in my life, I'm going to keep on smiling till I feel alright. The key to success is in my hand. As soon as I can understand, I've got to treat and move my feet. I've got to treat and move my feet. Nobody else gonna rescue me. I've got to treat and move my feet. If I wanna have more peace in my life, I need to take time to listen to the voice inside. If I know who I am and my aim is true, only thing I hope you do, I've got to treat and move my feet. I've got to treat and move my feet. Nobody else gonna rescue me. I've got to treat and move my feet. I've got to treat and move my feet. And you know, if you're having a little trouble seeing the truth of who you are, it's okay to reach out to a practitioner and ask for a little help discovering the truth of who you really are. You can do a little meditation or engage in your favorite spiritual practice so the truth of who you are can be revealed. I've got to treat and move my feet. You've got to treat and move your feet. Nobody else gonna rescue me. I've got to treat and move my feet. I've got to treat and move my feet. I've got to treat and move my feet. Some good advice.
Thank you, Susan. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to treat and move my feet. That is such an inspiring song for today when we look at the topic of what does demonstration look like? Wow. So good morning and welcome to CSL Denver, a place, a space, and a face of love. We are a spiritual community teaching ancient wisdom and applying universal principles to embody the intelligence of the divine and to empower our lives and the lives of others. What a concept. And this month, we've been working to move beyond the concept and move it into practice. This whole month, we've been focusing on practice. What it is, how to embrace it, what it looks like, how to include it in our everyday lives. But now we come to that part of the journey where we begin to ask the question, how do we demonstrate this? How do we put it into practice on an actual, visible, experiential level? And so today we are going to explore this whole idea of what does the demonstration of all this practice looks like in our lives. Now, our organization is called the Center for Spiritual Living. It calls us to live in a way that happens every moment, day by day. It is the application of these spiritual tools and principles that we use and teach for our lives in a regular and consistent way. It requires active participation, application, and as the song goes, it requires practice, practice, practice. And so I want to bring up this slide to accent something that our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, said. He says, I would rather see a student of this science prove its principles than to have him repeat all the words of wisdom that have ever been uttered. Because you see, being able to talk the talk and not walk the walk doesn't get it. It doesn't make for a life worth living, a life that is an example of what this teaching can do and how these principles can affect our lives. And so, as we know, and we look around today, for sure, we understand better now than ever before that life itself is the ultimate demonstration of these teachings. And when we practice and experience this thing called life, it flows a lot easier. Our choices are clearer. It seems that miraculous things happens every day. And we live in wonder. We live in a time and a place where things might look rough, things might look bad, but we know we can get through them. And that's what we're doing now. We're demonstrating that. People are making new choices. People are making new decisions. They're looking around for different ways to express themselves. And so we know that in the science of mind, or the religious science, if you will, science asked us one thing. It asked us to prove whatever we come up with. You know, for science to say that there's electricity and not be able to prove it would be a poor demonstration. And so we look at this and say, wow, how do we do that? What is it that it takes to put this science into practice and express these principles of life? Well, I would submit that when we have a great awakening and when we realize the power that's in the universe that is also in us, that divine mind that created all things is right here between our eyes, it allows us to awaken to a new way of living. It allows us to be better than we ever thought we could be. Now, the challenge is you got to practice. You have to demonstrate. You have to experiment. So, next couple of days, we have the Winter Olympics starting. And today, for all the football fans like me, you got some great games today. You got the Rams and San Francisco, and you got Kansas City and Cincinnati. They didn't get to this pot to be able to play for the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks if they win today. They had to practice. And after they practiced, they had to demonstrate. Like, I like to tell you this story. There's a bunch of Little Johnny stories. So I'm going to tell a Little Johnny story if you don't mind. So Little Johnny, and he's not so little now, he's a teenager moving into young adult. And as in fashion in New Year's, he wanted to get some New Year's resolutions. And so he says, okay, I'm gonna go join the gym. So he joins the gym. Along with his membership, he gets 3 sessions with the trainer. He goes to the trainer. Trainer does all the measurements and have a little conversation to try to figure out what is that he wants to achieve. And so he sets up a plan and he makes some goals, and the trainer gives him some exercises and some dietary habits to adhere to. And he said, okay, I'm going to check back with you every week and see how we're moving. And he said, okay. And so first week he comes back and he asked the Johnny, he said, Johnny, how's it going? How's those exercises going? He said, well, I read up everything I could about them, but I haven't done any of them yet, but I know all about them. I know what they do. I know what they work. I'm good with those. He said, okay, well, you got to do them. He said, okay, I'll see you next week. So next week comes around. He meets with the trainer. Johnny says, man, I'm not making any progress, and the trainer said, well, did you do the exercises? How about your diet? Did you change your diet? He said, no, I know all the ingredients. I know all the caloric intakes, but I haven't changed much about my diet. And so he said, okay, well, let's see what happened next week. We got one more week of this. So he goes the next week, comes back, and he says, Johnny, I don't see much progress after 3 weeks. I would expect you to be much further along. Have you tried any of the exercises? You ate any of the meals, or you running or anything? He says, oh no, but I read everything about him. I can tell you everything about food composition and exercise and running, but I haven't done any of them. And so the trainer says, well, this class, this training is something you have to participate in. You can't just read about it. You can't just think about it. And that's why, as Bill said in the beginning, he says, you know, the greatest difficulty with this teaching is that we indulge too much in theory and not enough in practice. And that's what we have to do to understand what it means to demonstrate, to say a prayer and have someone feel the results, to make a goal in our lives and see it achieved. So the question becomes, do you want to make the change? Are you looking for that advance in life, if you will, or are we just complaining in a new way now? You know, we talk about all the principles, but we don't really do them. So it's not like complaining, but we say, man, I don't know if these principles work. You have to work them. So our job is to prove it. Let's go out and prove it, shall we? That's what we need to do. And so the question obviously becomes, how do we do it? How do we begin to live a life, to take these practices, to take these principles and actually use them? To say I have a practice of prayer, but you never pray, not going to get you much. You know, to say you have a practice of running and you're going to try to run a 5K, it's not going to get you far. So as we know, this science, or any science, practical application and results are necessary. So we're going to delve into this. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to put on our laboratory coats and step into the laboratory of our life and see what's needed. Now, most of us know that when we change our outfits, we get a sense of feeling of what we're putting on. If we dress up and for the men and put on a tie and shirt, and for the ladies, if they put on nice dress and shoes, there's a feeling within inside that changes. It matches the outfit. So the first thing we want to do is we have to put on our laboratory coat. That puts us in the mood to be scientists, to move forward in life, looking for what it is that we want to do, what we want out of life. And the first thing you do for you, if you can go back to maybe high school or even college science class, either biology or chemistry, or, you know, one where you go in there and you play with stuff, you know, fires and mixing stuff up. The first thing you have to do is seek understanding. Because if you mix the wrong chemicals, you're going to blow the lab up. If you mix the wrong positive and negative wires, you're going to start a fire. So the first thing we have to do is seek an understanding. Now, Ernest Holmes did this. Ernest Holmes, he titled his work The Science of Mind, but he named the teachings religious science. He didn't call it the essays of the mind or contemplation of the mind. He said it was religious science. And we know that science is an intelligent and practical application that encompasses a system or a systematic study of anything. And so that's what we're called to do. We're called to do a systematic study of our life, of our results, of the things that we're doing every day to day. And if they're not matching the output that we are looking for, we need to make some decisions. We need to make some changes. That means we need to make more observations and do more experimentation so that we feel good about the laboratory experiments that we're doing in our life. Because like little Johnny, he was reading a lot, but he wasn't making any observation of his body and how he wanted to feel when he was just reading and studying and philosophizing and theorizing about what it means to be fit, what it means to get in shape. And so a mere intellectual knowledge of spiritual principles is insufficient. is insufficient. We must begin to practice every day. Every day. And when we do that, we come to this. I'll bring that a little bigger. So it says there is only one way to learn. It's through action. Everything you need to know, you have learned through your journey. Everything you need to know, you have learned through your journey. Now that's the key there, because we go through life every day. We're on the journey, whether you want to be or not. And so the question becomes, okay, I'm on this journey. Let me get the best of it. Let me understand why this happened or why that didn't happen, because I'm not liking the demonstration, or I'm liking the demonstration and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. That, you know, in the South, we had a saying that says, look, either put up or shut up. We don't want to hear no more talking. Either put up or shut up. And right now it's time to put up. We need to put up the principles in our life. We need to put up the practices in our life so that we can be Nobel Prize winners in the science of life. That's what we're aiming for. We want the Nobel Prize. So keep that in mind. Now that we seek some understanding, the next thing is, and that seeking understanding means asking some questions, obviously, and you know, tinkering with things like we did when we were young. We have to. That's why it says, you know, the whole earth is prepared for the young at heart, those who like to tinker and ask questions and pull things. And when you do that, from a scientific perspective, you come up with what they call hypotheses, right? You come up with a hypothesis that says, oh, well, I think if I do this, that's going to happen. And if that happens, then I think this thing is going to happen. And so you come up with these ideas about what will happen when you do certain things in life, when you do certain practices. And so part of that work is to change the way we think. You know, we have this affirmation or this axiom that says, change your thinking and change your life, right? That's an anchor in our philosophy. And so the question begs us every day, when was the last time you looked at this axiom from an objective eye, from an inquisitive curiosity, using the scientific method, not just doing it rotely, not just doing it, you know, out of habit. Do it with curiosity every day. There's a power in curiosity. There's a power in the ability to ask the difficult questions, right? Everybody asks, you know, some questions that they sometimes know the answers to, but they want to be whatever, so they ask the questions. But you can ask a little small question based in serious curiosity, and the world opens up. The world opens up, because with that power of curiosity, the questions that you're asking are the seed genesis of the power of God. God said, let there be light, and there was light. From a curiosity point, all of us are trying to understand what that light is. How do we get it? How do we hold it? How do we use it? And it's right here all the time. It's right here. But if we don't practice it, you know, it's like the light bulbs in your house. If you don't cut the switch on, you won't get light. You'll be walking around screaming, there's no light, there's no light. But you didn't cut the switch on. Right? So perhaps as we go into this hypotheses of things, we need to change the way we think about everything. Change the way we think about everything so that we can begin to move forward. And then once we've done that, now we step into the sweet spot. As they say on Star Trek, make it so. We've asked the questions. We understand what it is we're trying to do. Now we move to the fact that we have to practice it, make it so, prove it, right? We have to do that if we're going to make it happen. And so now we move into life like we go to a laboratory. We find our petri dishes and our test tubes and our beakers and our Bunsen burners and all those things you remember from biology class and chemistry class. And we begin to practice this laboratory life thing. We begin to look at it in this way. I think is a great way of looking at it, which is this. It isn't enough to rush about shouting that there are no sick people, but this will never heal those who appear to be sick. It's easy to proclaim that there are no needy. Anyone can say this, whether he be wise or unwise. If we are to prove such statements to be facts in our experience, we shall be compelled to do more than announce a principle, no matter how true it may be. No matter how true it may be. So we may know the truth, but just to talk about the truth doesn't make it happen. Doesn't give us what we need. And so now, as we just look at what that means and begin to incorporate these things in our life, we move towards this last statement. We move towards this last statement that says this. For me, 1,000 people in the world who know what religious science is and use it and live it as it is, and I'll show you, and I'll myself live to see a new world, a new heaven and a new earth. And so what Ernest is saying here is that if we take these principles and we apply them in our life, we'll see a change, not only in us, but in everyone. We'll see a change in the way we behave, in the way we act, in the way we treat people, in the way people treat us. But we have to begin to do that. Practice it. Practice it. And so in conclusion, I just like to say life is an experiment that must be experienced. Our great experiment this year is to discover how approaching life with an awe and wonder and curiosity and inquisitiveness will transform everything around us. Will transform everything around us, and most importantly, transform ourselves. It's possible. Please take this journey with me. I hope you will. And as always, as we embark on this journey, we can't go without a call to action. We have to have a call to action. And that call to action says this. Be curious. Ask questions. Make hypotheses. And practice, practice, practice. This is how we move forward in life. This is how we allow ourselves to be greater than we ever thought we could be and demonstrate these teachings every day. And so as we anchor that with our affirmation for this week, I become what I practice. I become what I practice. Let us pray. And so as we take this moment to reflect on the divine aspects of God, that entity, that power, that frequency that moves easily and effortlessly throughout the universe, affecting and awakening and arousing the curiosity of life in each and every one of us. Because that seed of curiosity has been planted deep in our heart, firmly in our soul, and when we attach to it, we awaken. We awaken to the experiment of life. We awaken to the gusto of life. And we're able to face all things with ease and grace. And so I know that for me, for you, and for anyone who may listen to this prayer, this call, these teachings later, that they are awakening to the giant within. That intelligent being, that strong-willed person, that loving kindness that is there to explore, to exhibit, and to demonstrate in all that we do. And so I declare right here, right now, that each and every one of us are declaring that we will practice this teaching, that we will practice loving kindness, that we will practice meditation and journaling and praying and all those things to uplift humanity to its highest place. And so it is in that container of love, light, and insight that I give thanks. I give thanks for this moment. I give thanks for each and every one of you. I give thanks for the opportunity to teach to myself that life is worth living. It's the grand experiment that everyone is involved in. And so it is in that kind of thanksgiving to have this opportunity that I release prayer into the Lord, knowing that all is well, God is good, and there is no place, absolutely no place where God is not. And so I can say yes to it all, and so it is, amen. And so it is, amen. And so I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. I hope we are all ready to go forth from this day forward and demonstrate. Let's prove these teachings. Let's prove these practices that they work, that they help us evolve. And so it is now that time of sacred giving where we want to thank you for all that you've given us throughout the last 2 years, where we've been unfolding into a new way of life, dealing with the experiment differently. And so we are so grateful and blessed for everyone's support for CSL Denver, whether it's time, talent, or treasure, and especially doing now. Whether you're your first time joining or you're regular participating in our service, we thank you. There's information running across the bottom of your screen on how you can support our efforts, whether you text using your cell phone, to whether you send an email, or not an email, I'm sorry, if you go to the website and press donate on our website, or send a regular check or money order in the mail to our P.O. box. But however you do, please support us, because we are trying to establish a place where we can come and be authentic and practice this thing called life. So now, if you repeat our affirmation and place your hand over your heart if it feels comfortable, this perfect spirit in form, circulating and blessing all that it touches. Freely I give, and joyously I receive, and so it is. Amen. Peace and blessings.
Thank you, Reverend Elzia. Beautiful talk. I need to work on my spiritual practices. And if anybody else needs to have some, some suggestions or help, just know that our practitioners are available to work with you on that. So we just have a few announcements before the end of our service. Our usual virtual fellowship on Zoom is this morning. We would love for you to come join us and let us know how you're doing. Excuse me. If you did not receive the Zoom invitation earlier this morning, please send an email to info@csldenver.org and mention fellowship, and we'll send you a Zoom invitation right away. And we have a book club starting in February. We've been talking about this. Hopefully you have the book if you're interested. And if not, the book is available at Barnes & Noble or Amazon, so either by Kindle or hardback. The book we'll start using is Becoming Supernatural: How Common People Are Doing the Uncommon by Dr. Joe Dispenza. It will meet the second and fourth Thursday of each month from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time via Zoom. So for February, mark your calendars for February 10th and 24th. The book is available, as I said, through Barnes & Noble or Amazon. And the book club will be via Zoom, so please send an email to info@csldenver.org to request an invitation. And please read the first 2 chapters before February 10th so we can be able to discuss those chapters. So meanwhile, we hope you have a wonderful week and affirm right here and right now that 2022 is blessed and perfect in all that it is. We love you. We miss you. Please take care of yourselves. And let's close out with I release and I let go.
There was a time in my life, thought I had to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I
didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you gotta let it go. Gotta let it go. You gotta let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience, or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.